Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by a couple of friends that love Formula One. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your computer chip host, Luigi. And today we are rating drivers from 1958 for our special series, the Time Portal Championship. So let's go.
Okay, you're going to have to explain what the computer chip reference is, Luigi. Tell me Was it invented in 1958?
Yes, invented in 1958 by Jack Kilby, an engineer for Texas Instruments, and he invented it. And if it wasn't for him doing that, we wouldn't be recording this podcast on the thing we are using.
Yeah, in a virtual sound recording studio. That's right. And today we have Andrew back with us. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Luigi. Hi, Rosa. Thanks for inviting me back. Obviously, I didn't disgrace myself last time, so I'm very honoured that you've got me back to help you with 1958.
We're actually very impressed with the level of research and preparedness, and almost too impressed because you showed us up a little bit. But it's all in the name. It's all in the name of good podcasting.
Good banter.
That's it. That's
Correct.
It. Exactly.
And this is a pretty sad season, isn't it?
Yeah, this is 58. A hard season. Yeah, you sort of lucked out with this one, Andrew.
I'm not sure I wouldn't say lucky. It certainly was quite sobering reading through the different races. But, I guess that's what Formula One was like back in the 50s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly remember researching this year and reading the scripts, and a lot of the drivers that have accidents and things this year, you kind of get to know them throughout the years, and it's actually really moving when you read about their accidents and things. So anyway, we will try to keep it as light as we can, but still respecting the drivers.
Correct. The tissues are required for the race review episode, the actual proper episode. So this is the fun way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we start race 1, Argentinian Grand Prix?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the short summary. Remember, this is only short summaries just to remind us of the races so we can have context of our picks. So Moss and Rob Walker team, knowing they weren't stopping for tyres, made a big song and dance about the massive time loss they will face when they change their tyres, knowing full well that they weren't going to. They were doing this as a strategy, of course. So that was interesting. Collins gets his first ever formal retirement when his clutch goes off at the start of the race. Now, the reason when I say first ever formal retirement was because 58 was the first year they were not allowing car changes. Having said that, we still do see car changes, but they don't count for points.
Yeah.
But I'm calling this the first ever formal retirement because when his car retired, he didn't drive anymore.
Done. Yep.
So I'm calling that a retirement, right? In the race itself, Moss took the lead when the Ferrari stopped because obviously they assumed that that car wasn't that car he was in, which I think was a Cooper Comics and Van Wall.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he was in 2 cars during the season. So Moss took the lead when the Ferrari stopped, but they weren't worried, thinking Moss would also stop. When Ferrari realised, they put out the fastest sign to Musso, but Musso, despite his best efforts, and he did close up a big gap, he fell short by 2.7 seconds, so Moss won the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the underdog takes the prize.
Yeah. And
that's right.
Ferrari got sold a big dummy and they fell for it big time.
Not the first time and not the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And apparently Moss's tires were showing the canvas.
Wow,
that's how. So that, I mean, while they tricked Ferrari, they almost tricked themselves, with a blown tire or something. So yeah.
Well, I think sometimes you've got to roll the dice, and if it comes up with your numbers, you get the points. So yeah.
So Rosa, your top 3.
Okay, I'm going first this time. Okay, so for my third driver in third place, for his third place, I've given it to Hawthorn, and I've said arguably not his fault. So Hawthorn was in a Ferrari here, is that right?
Yes, he was.
Yes. So I've given it to Hawthorn for his third. I've given Musso the 6 points. He was fifth to second, and I mean, if they just thought about it a bit more, I reckon he could have pushed Moss a bit harder there at the end, and he might have actually grabbed the win. And then I've given Moss the 8 points. Yeah, seventh to first. Great tactics in the Cooper. I love to see that little bit of gamesmanship. That was cool. So, yeah, he gets my 8 points.
Okay. Just a quick question on Hawthorn, third place.
Oh, really, Luigi? The first race. Yes. How can I help you?
Yeah. Third place, arguably not his fault. What do you mean? Like he should have been higher?
Well, I think the Ferrari strategy kind of.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
It wasn't his fault that he got beaten by his teammate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But
Anyway, moving right along.
Okay, so my third place, I've got Musso in third. Chasing down Moss, nearly made it. He nearly got the win. He didn't miss by much. So third. I actually gave second place to Fangio because he actually got pole position despite the fact that he sort of has retired in 1957. He does make one or two appearances in 58, but not much. But hey, for an old guy getting in a car that,
now we bring out the old guy.
Yeah, but at least he's retired. It's different to Farina. Farina's gone. You don't see Farina coming in, getting pole position and doing nothing else, do you? So I'm giving Fangio second place for pole position.
Actually, you just made my point for me. Andrew, in your spreadsheet of statistics, how far did Fangio actually get in the race?
look, he finished fourth, but I understand he might have had some engine problems. So, if there was...
Right.
You said it wasn't Hawthorn's fault. I'd probably say it wasn't Fangio's fault.
Okay. Well, at least he actually
said he got fastest lap and pole position. So
okay, fair enough.
Okay,
he finished the race at least. Yes.
So I gave Moss first win by a rear-engined car, big deal, and of course ignored by Enzo Ferrari, but everyone else took notice of it. And awesome strategy and canvas showing on his tyres, as I mentioned. Now, one of the things I was going to flag is one of the things that I think Enzo Ferrari and others pointed to was, yeah, sure, this rear-engined car won, but that's because they did this crazy strategy with the tyres.
Yeah.
So it sort of hid the fact that the future was rear-engined cars.
Hey.
Yeah, so I went same drivers as Luigi, but different order. So I put Fangio in third and gave him the 4 points. He did qualify in pole, took the fastest lap. Did finish a fair way away, but I understand he had some car issues. Also, best of the Ferraris, so second place in this championship. And yeah, Moss, whether he had the fastest car or not, I think it's still underdog against the big guys and great strategy. So won the race, and I think he won our race as well.
They definitely exploited a weakness of the Ferrari, not only the car but the actual team. So yes.
Although there is some question marks apparently whether the Ferrari team that were all Italian speakers, whether they even understood English. No, I'm sure the Cooper team were like doing a lot of pointing at the tyres and rubbing their foreheads in concern.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of the first race, we have Moss in the lead on 26, Musso second on 16, and Fangio third on 10.
Did you say 26 for Moss? I thought
24.
it was
24. Sorry,
yeah,
24. I meant 24. Yes.
So up to the second race. I'm on Rosa, aren't I today? Yeah, I'm on fire.
Did you have a Red Bull before this or something?
I think Andrew brings it out in me. I think he taps into my Rosa thing. He taps.
He
gets
you
going.
Up. I know.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
Luigi.
Yeah. So Monaco Grand Prix, race 2 of the season. This is interesting, what I'm about to say. Bernie Eccleston and Maria Teresa de Fillipis make their race debuts. However, Bernie Eccleston wasn't actually trying to qualify. He was just checking what was wrong in the car during the practice sessions and did a lap and therefore registered a time. So Bernie Eccleston lodged a time.
And didn't qualify. That's like an official record in the record books.
First and only event? Or
Yes, it was.
I think it was his first and only.
He really didn't race at all. He just did a few laps.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be cool to just, I want to visit them in the McLaren team.
Exactly.
Oh, give it a whiz. Give it a whiz, Luigi. And I do one lap in practice. I'm like 35, 40 seconds behind the next person. But I'll be waving while driving, you know?
Yes.
So, and Maria Teresa de Filippis, first female to enter a race. I don't think she qualified, though.
No.
She's quite off the pace.
Yes, she was.
So, yeah. So, Lotus and Graham Hill also make their debut, as in Lotus the team and Graham Hill the driver. So, some pretty big names making their debuts, including Eccleston and Maria. Brooks Van Wall actually gets pole position, followed by Berra in the BRM and Brabham in the Cooper. At the start of the race, Salvadori takes the lead from fourth, but spun. Berra then took the lead, followed by Brooks. Brooks retired after trying to fix his own spark plug. Yes, you did hear that. Hawthorn took the lead when Berra retired on lap 27. Moss then took the lead and then retired. Hawthorn then went back in the lead, but he retires as well. So Trintignant wins in the Cooper, followed by the Ferrari pair of Musso and Collins. Now, if you could keep up with that, then good luck. Yeah. So Rosa, how did you make sense of this?
I was going to be very facetious, and I was nearly going to give my third place 4 points to retirements while you're leading, but I thought that would be unfair on anyone who could potentially actually take out the TP Championship. So I changed my mind and I gave my 4 points to Collins. I think he qualified 9th and he got to 3rd, and he's in the old school Ferrari. So, like, you can say he was a bit lucky given all the retirements. But anyway, I gave it to Collins. I then gave my 6 points to Musso. So he qualified 10th as well, got to 2nd. Again, lots of retirements. But all of these Ferrari finishes on the podium would have given Enzo some hope that he was still on the right track with his car. And
Front-engined.
Well, yeah, it probably delayed the Ferrari shift to the rear-engine cars by quite a bit. But anyway, and then I've given my first place, my 8 points, to the Trintignant. Yeah, was this Cooper's first win, Luigi? I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember them winning earlier.
No.
Probably their first win.
Yep.
Yeah. We may have mentioned it in the main podcast.
We may have.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Again,
we're not recording this in order, everyone.
No.
This is being recorded like 6 weeks after we did the 58 seasons, so that's why we can't remember.
So I do asterisk all of these with a bit lucky, but he got there from 5th, so there you go.
Well, certainly would be you'd expect Monaco would be a Cooper track.
Yes,
given they were smaller cars, I suppose.
Yeah,
and Brabham, Salvadori, and Trintignant qualified 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So
yeah, there you go.
They were right up there.
Yep.
I just want to acknowledge. I want you to give me credit for this. Salvadori took the lead from 4th, and I didn't put him in my top 3.
I was going to do an interruption during your and go.
If you saw Salvadori in there,
you Salvadori's in Luigi's points.
No, I've changed. I've listened to the feedback, and I'm now a better person for it.
Okay.
So let's see if it holds up. So I have Moss in 3rd. Mainly because he takes the lead after Berra, and he also has problems. So he should have been up there. With all the retirements, I could have picked any of them, to be honest, because they were all taking turns being in the lead. Berra, who never actually wins an F1 race, an official one. He wins non-championship races and F2 races. He was leading up to lap 27 and retired due to car problems. So he may have actually won this race if he didn't have those issues. And Trintignant, in the Cooper, he won the race, solid but lucky. You just got to tip your hat to him. I don't know if he wins many more races. I'm pretty sure he may win more than one.
I think he wins 2 in his whole career.
Yeah, so you got to give him this moment in the sun. He was reliable enough to keep the car going and win the race.
So, but
over to you, Andrew.
No, not yet. I have been studying. I've been studying your tips all day, Luigi.
Oh no!
So why?
When did Moss retire?
Yeah, when did Moss retire? And then Hawthorn, why didn't he get some of your points? Because he was leading right up until the end of the race as well.
I just felt
the silence. Yeah. I get the silence.
You want that so badly. I'm going to edit out that silence. Not that I can do the editing
That's
myself.
That's all I needed. You don't need to answer. It's fine. I got what I wanted.
You got what you wanted.
Yeah.
Done. Andrew,
okay.
Your picks?
Well, I actually did give Hawthorn 4 points.
See?
Well, my understanding was he was 30 seconds in front when he did retire, so he was dominating, I guess. And it was probably fortuitous given all the other retirements, and he did take the fastest lap. I gave Brooks 6 points, which is probably a strange choice, but
that is weird.
Mainly on the fact that he qualified on pole and he qualified by a second. So, given that that was quite a big margin, and he was it was competitive in the race until he retired. He did retire quite early, and Trintignant, same reasons
Brooks
else,
also did fix his own spark plug, Andrew. I think.
Oh, well, maybe I should have given him the 8 points then.
So how do you fix your own spark plug?
Not sure.
I don't know. He must have had tools in the car.
Yeah, you're an accountant.
I struggle to know what a spark plug is. So, yeah.
I was going to say I watched some old F1 footage of the 60s, and I saw a scene where a driver had a spin and he had stalled his car, and I literally saw him get out of the car because there's no seatbelts, remember. He just pops out and he's holding the steering wheel. He's angling the car. There was a slight decline. He pushed the car. You could see it sort of kick in, and he quickly jumps into the car as it takes off.
He started his own car.
Oh, it was just like the most unbelievable sight. And to give you an understanding how low these cars were, he was hunched over pushing the car.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, wow, it just added an extra element to my mind to see him do it. So, yeah, and a bit like
a go-kart.
Yeah, like
Pushing
a go-kart, and Brooks
jumping in.
So Brooks must have stepped out, twisted the spark plug a bit, got back in, off he goes.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
go Rosa.
So Trintignant jumps into the points now. He's so Moss is in the lead still on 28 points, but Trintignant now in second on 24 points, and Musso third on 22 points.
Okay. And I think it's worth mentioning where Hawthorn is, because we know, according to the record books, Hawthorn allegedly wins this championship. We might be fixing that today, we'll see. But he's in fifth on 8 points.
That's right.
I'm not sure you can say allegedly.
Yeah,
I think
I was going to question
in the record books, Luigi.
Yeah, no, but I see this is more accurate than the record books.
Luigi would like to rewrite the record books with these results.
Yeah. Okay. And I've also got a job as a CEO of a big firm as well. So I've got to resolve that one too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so we're at the Dutch Grand Prix. This is third race of the season. This is there's a front row, all British teams, with the first non-British car, Hawthorn, actually a British driver, in the Ferrari in sixth place. So the British teams really were on fire here. Moss jumped straight into the lead, which he would basically not lose for the whole race. This is a bit of a boring race because the only excitement in this race was towards the end when Shell, in second place, was trying to lap Hawthorn, who was in fifth place. Now, Shell had to take to the grass to get past Hawthorn. Now, Hawthorn really didn't like Shell passing him, and when you listen to the race review proper, you'll learn that Hawthorn also doesn't like BRMs. So when you've got Shell and BRM lapping him, that was a big deal. So that's the end of the race review.
So no blue flags back then, Luigi?
No blue flags.
No.
Mm.
Okay.
So, Rosa, your top
over to
three
me.
and why? Yeah.
Okay. I gave my 4 points to Salvadori.
Ooh.
Yeah, he sort of, I think from what I can glean, he qualified ninth and finished fourth. So I thought that was a pretty good showing for him. I gave my second spot to Shell with 6 points. And seventh to second, and he outperformed his teammate Berra. I thought that, and Berra he was probably a very, very solid driver by this stage. And then I gave my 8 points to Moss again. I've said here he was driving a van wall in this race, and he might have been because he did switch between the two, didn't he? This season.
Yeah.
It was the only van wall to finish the race, and it was with Moss at the wheel. So 8 points.
No protest from me.
Oh, well.
No, that's fine.
I did look up Salvadori a little bit, but I couldn't really find anything to grab onto. So yeah. So I had third Berra. He had a strong charge to finish third in the BRM. So while Rosa gave Shell second in the BRM, I also gave Shell second in the BRM.
Yep.
And some excitement with Hawthorn at race end as well. So he, even though it was a bit of a boring race, I think he still gave us something to watch. And Moss, just an absolutely solid win. I mean, easy Moss win. So, not much to say there, really.
Berra, you said a strong drive, but he finished half a lap behind his teammate.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Andrew. I was going to ask you that. Also, where did he qualify?
I don't know. Where did he qualify?
Where did he qualify?
He qualified fourth. He did qualify ahead of Shell, but he finished a long way behind.
But I put him behind Shell.
You did put him behind Shell.
I put him behind Shell. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll probably have a go at me for my third. Got Lewis Evans in third. Didn't finish the race, but he qualified on pole by nearly a second. Which I thought was
okay.
When did he retire? Yeah. He didn't finish the race.
46. Yeah, lap 46 out of 75. Qualified on pole. Shell second, best of the rest. And I also made a note that he put Hawthorn in his place eventually. Against one of the big boys, it's probably a good achievement. And Moss, obviously dominant race win comfortably, fastest lap. Yeah,
I think the Lewis Evans one might be just a smidgen generous.
Yeah, that's the second time you've kind of given points for someone grabbing pole.
A random.
Yeah, grabbing pole and then not really doing much in the race.
Yeah, see, if I'm going to pull back on those first lap things, you have to as well.
I put a lot of emphasis on fast drivers, so,
Yeah, what's the point of being fast if you don't finish the race?
Oh.
In his defence, he was an engine issue. It was an engine issue. It's not like he spun off or anything.
All right.
Yeah, I generally don't like giving points to anyone who's had an accident, or spun, but if it's an engine issue or a car problem.
Yes, and I do remember one of your favourite sayings, Andrew, is that you don't reward mediocrity.
No, well, that's why I didn't give Berra any points or Salvadori.
Or Salvadori.
So anyway, we'll move on.
We'll move on very quickly.
I'm going to remember this.
Yeah. Okay, so Moss extends his lead after that race. He's now on 52 points. Trintignant is still in second on 24 and Musso is in third on 22. And, interestingly, Hawthorn is still on 8 points but down in seventh. I think they're the big names for this season.
Only how many points is he behind? 44? Is he 44 points behind Moss?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Wow,
but I think
let's keep an eye on that.
In the real World Championship, he only had 7 points. Then he was in 5th place. So I don't think it was a strong start.
No.
Anyway, for him.
Yeah. Okay. So up to the Belgium Grand Prix, race 4 of the season. So we have a shambles start by the timekeepers, and both Hawthorn and Musso made a nonsense of their starts. There's an official nonsense quote from Mike Lang. I think, is this where the nonsense thing came about,
I think
Rosa?
so. This was the first one, yes.
Yeah, so now we've adopted that as a term for anyone that has a bad start in the race. Amazingly, both of them were second and third after 5 laps. So not that bad a nonsense, to be honest. But that was due to the retirements of other drivers, not because of what they did. Musso goes out due to an accident. Hawthorn is worried and drives slower because Musso was Hawthorn's teammate in the Ferrari. But then when he sees Musso is okay, he speeds up again.
Oh,
which
that's
I think is
nice.
interesting. Yeah, romantic, right?
It is romantic.
Yeah. There is, however, a dramatic last lap because with Brooks leading, he has a jammed gear and crawls to the line to win. Why? Because Hawthorn's engine, who was behind, blew on the last lap and he was also crawling. So Lewis Evans also then crawled to finish third with a broken wishbone. So basically, the car that came fourth was Allison in a Ferrari, the first healthy car. So we had this very dramatic last lap with these 3 cars just desperately trying to get to the line and finishing first, second and third, which is quite phenomenal. And I'm imagining quite stressful for those drivers.
Just my records showed that Allison was in a Lotus, but did you say Ferrari?
Just double check that.
Yeah, anyway. I think he's in a
You're right.
Lotus.
Sorry, I think he's in a Ferrari in a different season. So yes, he's in a Lotus, and his Lotus /
which will
Maserati.
be important later on when I give my points out.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Oh yes, I see your points now. We'll come to that.
Okay.
So Rosa, your top 3?
Yes, I'm going to brace myself here. I've given my third point.
I'm just going to look up this race while you get ready to get my attacks lined up.
Look, I think, speaking of romance and big steps taken in Formula One history, I have chosen to acknowledge this by giving my 4 points to De Fillipis. She actually qualified for this race and she was the first woman to finish a Formula One race. Now, I don't think we need to go into any more detail than that at all.
Actually,
No. I think we can just leave it there.
I was going to say no. It's a good pick.
Thank you.
She was fighting all sorts of.
I think
what's the term for it?
Biasness,
not misogynist,
misogynistic behavior. Yes.
Like in the review proper, I make a comment that in one of the races of this season, she wasn't allowed to start because one of the race bigwigs basically said, "Oh, the helmets you should be wearing are in the hairdresser, not on the racetrack."
That's right.
So good on her for getting it out there, and she only finished 2 laps behind. That's probably a lot better than Lance Stroll would do today. So, so I'm giving her kudos for kudos. 2 laps behind is pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
She's right up there.
Like we have seen drivers finish, I think Andrew has pointed out quite many times on my tips when drivers had finished more than 1 lap behind their teammate. So there you go. That's what I've done for.
So she's breaking the mold. It's a pity we don't have more women. We don't have more women today, which is a real pity because she was groundbreaking for the time.
But I think if they'd qualified 34 seconds off, they'd definitely be out of the 107% rule.
Well,
so I can tell you where she qualified.
Rewarding mediocrity.
Well, she was not that far off. Like the position before her was 4 minutes. This is at the Belgium track, 4 minutes 24.5, and her time is 4 minutes 31. So not dramatically off.
No.
Okay.
And
put me in that car, I'd be lucky to get under 6 minutes. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And yes, I did say that I think it's worth just not delving too deeply into the statistics, and just recognising this as a high level achievement. For the and I actually was going to put in, I think Berra actually signed her later in the season to his Formula 2 was it a Porsche team, Luigi?
Yeah, his Porsche team. Yeah.
So if I could figure out how I could have done that in this race, I would have given it to Bera as well. So because he was quite, I guess, forward thinking in that regard as well. Anyway, on to my second place. I have Lewis Evans with 6 points, basically because I think he qualified 11th and he made it to third in a van wall, which you have to remember in this era the van walls were on the decline a little bit. Even though they were a British team, they were kind of not really keeping up with the BRMs and Coopers. And then I gave Brooks my 8 points. He ended up beating the pole winner by 20 seconds is what my notes say.
So nothing for Hawthorn, but...
No, nothing for Hawthorn.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Vanwall team that's on the decline that wins the first Constructors' Championship, you mean?
Yeah, they won. Do they really? Is that this year?
Yeah, they win the Constructors.
Oh, there you
might be getting the years mixed up.
might be getting the years mixed up.
Yeah, you
My
are.
apologies.
That's why I'm making fun.
Go Vanwall.
It's easy to do. Yeah, so Vanwall was a good team. But having said that, Moss was in third place on the grid, but the next Vanwall was he was like the third Vanwall on the grid, way down 11th. So he was underperforming the car.
Yeah.
Okay. So my pick, I had Moss in third. Because he took the lead at the start, and he retired early, and he probably would have won this race. That's my opinion.
I think he actually retired on the first lap, but I guess taking the lead at the start, we're back to that old,
Yeah. That's the Luigi.
Yeah, it's in the blood, right? So I actually put Hawthorn second, though. You give me some points there. Strong second place despite a nonsense start and a blown engine at the very end. So pretty impressive second place. And Brooks, great win despite the big challenge he had towards the end. So, yeah, that's my top three.
Yeah, and I went for Allison in third. He in the Lotus. So I could have given it to Lewis Evans, but Allison went from 12th to 4th. And I feel like the Lotus was probably an inferior car to the Vanwall at that stage. So,
although 4th is kind of a bit mediocre, though, don't you think, Andrew? 4th?
It depends what the equipment's like, Rosa. And I'm not sure that I think he finished 4th and your third pick, I think she might have finished.
Hey.
2 laps behind, but anyway, who's
10th? In today's Formula One, that's a point.
Yeah,
that's a point.
Right.
You got a point.
You got a point.
If 4th is mediocre, then what's 10th? But anyway, let's move on.
Groundbreaking.
Hawthorn, I gave the 6 points to. Qualified on pole, fastest lap again, and sort of best of the rest behind Brooks, who, had a tough duel with Collins, but then controlled the race and deserved the win, I would have thought.
If anyone knows me, you know that I have this, I don't do regret's a waste of time, but I am regretting not putting Hawthorn in. So, but hey, that's life. Okay.
Who's up there? I was going to mention as well very quickly that those points that Allison got were the only points Lotus got all season. So good on you. That's a good pick. If you're going to pick a Lotus, this was the time to do it.
Yep, that's why I did it.
Is it because you actually love Lotus as well, Andrew?
Well, a bit of a soft spot, but anyway.
Okay.
And I'll have to admit, I'll come clean here. It doesn't affect my votes at all. But my affordable sports car that I'd like to get one day is a Lotus Elise. You can buy those for in Australia about $30,000 or $40,000. I'm not saying that's a decent amount of money.
It is,
but that's within reach. Okay. That's not like I want a Ferrari $250,000. That's out of reach. But a Lotus Elise, that could be my weekend car.
Right.
I'm open to that.
I'm going to have to look that up while you're doing your next tips because I don't exactly know what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah, it's a cute little car. And I have to admit, it's got a what's that brand called? I forget the brand, a Malaysian car engine brand, but it's all about power to weight. It's not about the engine.
Hey.
Anyway, to this.
Okay, back to the TP standings. We have Moss in the lead on 56, Brooks in second on 30, and Trintignant in third on 24. Hawthorn has crept up our rankings. He's now in fifth on 20 points.
Making a charge.
Yep.
Okay, so we're up to the French Grand Prix, race 5 of the season. Fangio turns up in a new Maserati, which I thought was a bit of a surprise when I read this, even in the race review, because didn't Maserati withdraw? But somehow they've got a new car.
Yes.
So anyway, putting that aside, it was underpowered, so it wasn't really new. So Fangio qualified 8th. I'm not sure why he even bothered, considering the last time he came out he got pole. Berra wins the supporting F2 race. Hawthorn got pole position, followed by Musso and Shell. At the race start, Shell storms into the lead. Yeah, I'm clear. And just checking my picks. No Shell, it's okay. At times, there were 4 cars abreast. Such was the intensity of the racing. So this sounds like a great race. Unfortunately, Musso has a fatal accident and he actually passes away later that day. The race did not stop, as was the norm in those days. Ferocious battles continued between like Berra and Moss and others, but those two in particular, while Hawthorn had a 30-second lead. Berra retired with car trouble, and this is actually the first race where Phil Hill actually attends, and this is actually Fangio's last F1 race, and he actually ends up finishing 4th. Hawthorn wins by over 25 seconds, with Moss 2nd and Von Trips 3rd. Over to you, Rosa.
Okay. Yes, this was one of the sad races for this season. I gave my 3rd spot to Brabham. And I didn't put a lot of notage down.
He was one lap behind as well.
Oh, see, I like the underdogs. I think
he did. He started 12th and finished 6th.
Okay, that's pretty good. I think that's why I gave it to him, and he's Australian, and yeah, it was.
I have to challenge that. I mean, we can't just let it go because he's Australian. He came 6th, not 5th, not 4th.
I know, but he started in 12th.
He didn't get any world championship points.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see who else you picked.
And then
pick it your shreds.
My 6 points I gave to Moss. He qualified 6th and finished 2nd in what was a tough race. I think ferocious battling with Berra. And my top place, my 8 points, I gave to Hawthorn. He got pole, great win. And then I've said it was a great win by a Ferrari against a charging Van Wall team, and he let Fangio through on the last lap to unlap himself, which I thought was good sportsmanship and good deference to a respected champion, which I admire and value. All right.
So you gave Brabham from going from 12th to 6th, but Von Trips went from 21st to 3rd.
Really? That's pretty good.
He didn't actually.
And Rose is a Ferrari fan as well.
He's in a Ferrari.
And Rose is a Ferrari fan.
Oh, no, I missed it.
So, anyway.
And Von Trips didn't even set a qualifying time, which, I mean, I can't remember the details of this race, but the mere fact he didn't have a time.
He's probably flown in 5 minutes before the race.
Correct. He had very little practice. He charged up to 3rd, and it was not enough for Rosa.
No.
Yeah.
Well, she's a hard taskmaster.
I am. I gave it to my Aussie heritage instead of my Ferrari heritage.
Yeah, and even I have to apologise to Von Trips and his family for not putting him in my top 3. I mean, but at least at
least you knew what he did.
Didn't put Brabham in there.
Yeah.
So my top 3, I put Berra in 3rd. In my opinion, he should have come 3rd if not for car issues. So he's a solid driver. He's always up there. I feel sad he never won a race. Moss, I put in 2nd place. for getting a robust second place in a car that was just not as good as the Ferrari on the day. And Hawthorn, just a solid win from the front, just dominant win. So couldn't give it to anyone else but Mike Hawthorn.
Yeah, so I ended up giving my third to Von Trips for the reasons I mentioned, 21st to 3rd. I was going to give it to Brabham, but I thought making 18 spots up and finishing on the podium probably a little bit better than making six spots up.
Yeah, and no points.
Hang on,
yeah.
what was Von Tripp's
I know,
drive?
you get points in 6? You get points in 6th? I think so.
What? No.
No.
And hang on.
He was in a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's right. How could I forget that?
Having said that.
Okay.
Moss second for reasons everyone else has mentioned, and then Hawthorn with the 8 points. It was the only time in this year that someone had won the race and had the fastest lap. So pretty dominant.
Yeah, good picks. Always like Andrew's picks.
Oh.
Rosa, I like yours, but then you throw in things like Brabham, you know?
It makes it interesting. That's
yeah,
sure.
It does, yeah.
Or someone has to. Okay, so I am going to give you the summary after race 5. We still have Moss in the lead on 74 points, but we have Hawthorn charging up to second place on 44 points. Brooks in third on 30 points. Okay, well, we might leave it there. This is becoming a bit of a long season for the TP review, so we'll finish 1958 next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. We have a Patreon!
Yay, we're a professional podcast now. So it means a lot to us if you are able to support the F1 Time Portal podcast.
For a small monthly fee, you not only get ad-free podcast content, you will also receive special episodes that are exclusively uploaded for our Patreon financial supporters.
We promise at least 2 additional exclusive episodes each month aligned to the decade we are up to in the show.
And you will also be able to make suggestions about any special episodes you may want us to research and present. We can't promise that we can do all of them, but we will consider them.
So, if that sounds like an entertainment bargain to you, go and sign up at patreon.com/F1 Time Portal today.
If you're enjoying our podcast, please tell your friends and non-F1 friends alike.
Yeah, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars or whatever highest is available on the podcast platform that you use.
We have a range of social media handles for you to connect with fellow listeners, so look up F1 Time Portal on all the usual platforms.
Or visit us at www.f1timeportal.com or email us at f1timeportal@gmail.com.
We would like to give credit to our primary reference materials, a series of books called Grand Prix by Mike Lang.
We also use many other written and digital references, which are in our show notes.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.